devastating. I can still see her face. We were visiting her in the hospital, and we knew that it was going from bad to worse, and she underwent all the treatment that were available, but she was just getting worse and worse. And I still remember the last visit when we were waving at her goodbye. She was looking out of the window, and I remember the sadness in her eyes and in her face, and that's when I saw her last. And even though I wasn't able to put it in words, I was 6 years old at that time, it made a big impression on me, and I somehow had this desire not to allow that to happen to any other family members. I wanted to have the knowledge, to prevent any premature deaths in our family. So that really, was one of the major decision points for me to go into medical school. I'm happy to report that I did all the research for you, and I'm excited that you're here and that we can go through some of the research studies together and look at how people live around the world. What are the secrets of longevity and a good quality of life? I'm happy that you want to invest in your own health, and you're the ones who, if you're willing to dedicate an hour from your Sunday, I know that I see the notes, you will be taking notes, and you want to implement the knowledge and bring it to your families and to your community. So thank you for joining us, and let's dive into this. So, unlike my grandma, who died so prematurely, there are parts in the world where people age completely differently. How many of you would like to be 100 years old and look like this? Anybody? Yeah. This guy is also over 100 years old. Anybody would like to look like him? Exactly. So, in other words, people age very differently, and we may perhaps take some lessons from those who preserve a good quality of life until the end. So we will look at lifestyle and lifespan. We will also look at if we implement some of the lessons from the blue zones where people live the longest and are the healthiest on Earth in the Western world, and adopt plant-based eating, what kind of outcomes can we expect? And then we will look at some of the most common barriers. Why is not everybody doing it? So let's look at the connection between lifestyle and lifespan. After I finished my medical studies and my PhD, I decided to go for my postdoctoral fellowship to Loma Linda University in California to look and analyze the data from more than 50,000 participants of the Adventist Health Study 2. And my mentor, Dr. Gary Fraser, he published a groundbreaking study, and its topic was 10 years of life. Is it a matter of choice? And in this paper, he looked at why the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda live up to 10 years longer compared with other Californians. And I mean, people in California live longer than the average in the United States. So, the bar was actually fairly high to start with. And still, the Seventh-day Adventists live up to 10 years longer compared with average Californians. So why is that? How can we explain this 10-year gap? So he looked at different habits in lifestyle, and he identified 5 most important lifestyle habits. Are you ready? Are you taking notes? So, number 1 is not smoking. So that's easy. I bet most of you don't smoke, and most of you have a a good surrounding where nobody smokes, so you're already checking off that box. Number 2 is a plant-based diet. Vegetarians have longer life expectancy compared with those who eat meat. And that's even compared with people who eat fairly moderate amount of meat, less than the average in the United States. So number 1 was not smoking. Number 2, a plant-based diet. Number 3, regular exercise. And that's not surprising. You get a lot of exercise here in the hills. You can hike the mountains, and that's good for your longevity and for your health. Number 3 was exercise. Number 4, eating nuts on a regular basis. We only need small amounts, so even it's just 1 almond or 2 walnuts a day, that still counts. We don't need huge amounts. Sometimes people go overboard and they just buy a whole bag of nuts. We don't need huge amounts. We just need just a little. But eating them regularly adds years to our life. And number 5 is a healthy body mass index, healthy body weight. Body mass index is body weight divided by body height squared, and it's in kilograms and in meters, so it's in metric. But you can find online calculators and calculate your BMI online. Do you know what the normal body mass index is? So when we're talking about being, having a normal body weight, so the normal body weight, the normal BMI is 23 is in the normal range, yes, up to 25. 25 is the cutoff point, and then from that point, people are overweight until 30, when you hit 30, you're considered obese. So anything that's under 25, that's a healthy body mass index. So what was number 1? Not smoking. Number 2, plant-based diet. Number 3, regular exercise. Number 4, small amount of nuts, yes. And finally, healthy body weight. Got it. That's all the secrets of longevity. And when we look at all the blue zones where people live the longest and are the healthiest on Earth, we see that they apply these lessons and they live this way. So Dan Buettner was working for the National Geographic, and he was traveling the world, and he was trying to find the places with the most centenarians, where people live to at least 100 years old. And he did a bunch of interviews with a lot of people, and each time he met a person who was at least 100 years old, he verified the record at the city hall, and once the record was verified, he made a blue dot. And the places on Earth with the most blue dots, he called the blue zones. So there are 5 blue zones in the world. One is in Loma Linda, California. So that's where we took all the lessons, and that's where the research study was published, in Loma Linda, California. The second one is in Nicoya, Costa Rica. The third one in Sardinia, Italy. The fourth one is in Caria, Greece. And the fifth one in Okinawa, Japan. And if you'd like to learn more about this, there's a whole Netflix series, Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones. And Dan Buettner just shows you, all the blue zones and all the secrets that he discovered. So I'll just summarize it for you. The most important part in the blue zones is that they eat super nutritious foods. They eat plant foods that are just packed with antioxidants and nutrients. Do you know which foods these are? If I told you, give me the most nutrient-dense foods, which one would you offer me? Buckwheat? Pumpkin? Anything else? Avocado? Anything else? Greens, yes. The dark leafy greens are actually super packed with antioxidants and with nutrition. So the dark leafy greens is one of the keys. This is a sample meal from Okinawa. I was there giving a few lectures for the community a few years ago, and I was impressed with the food. It just tasted amazing. Everything was fresh. They grow a lot of the produce in their garden, and more than half of their calories come from sweet potatoes. So that was surprising to me. They eat a lot of rice, a lot of soy products, a lot of leafy greens, fruits and veggies, and their sweet potatoes, they use different kinds, but the traditional kind that they use is the purple sweet potatoes. You probably saw these in a grocery store, and what's amazing about these purple sweet potatoes is that they're twice as high in antioxidants compared with blueberries, for example. They're just packed with antioxidants. So Dan Buettner thinks that one of the secrets of longevity from Okinawa is in their purple sweet potatoes. But you don't need to shop only for this one specific kind of vegetables, right? It's not only the purple sweet potatoes that are packed with antioxidants. We have many others. All the fruits and veggies have antioxidants. Legumes are super high in antioxidants. So it's not about picking one specific vegetable. But if you have a choice, if you go to the grocery store and you see the green cabbage and the purple, which one will be higher in antioxidants? Purple, yes. The darker color, the higher the antioxidant content. Which one of these, iceberg lettuce or kale? Kale, yes. And what about blueberries? These traditional blueberries or wild blueberries that are purple on the inside, the small ones. The wild ones, yes, they're twice as high compared with the usual blueberries. So you get the point. The darker the color, the more antioxidants you get. And another characteristic of the blue zones is that they get their protein from plant sources, from legumes, from beans and lentils and peas and soybeans and tofu. They don't get their protein from meat or cheese, like in the Western countries. They get plant sources of protein. And this is something that we could definitely learn from them, because what's the average consumption of legumes in the United States? Anybody knows? So in the blue zones, people oftentimes consume a cup a day. What would it be in the United States? Cup a month, if you're lucky, even less than that, yes. This is a saying from Okinawa that goes like this: hara hachibu, which means 8 out of 10. And it means eat until you're 80% full. Don't stuff yourself until you cannot eat anymore. And this principle is applied differently in the different blue zones. For example, many people in Loma Linda eat only 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, and skip dinner. So that's called time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting. So you just prolong the fasting window overnight, up to 18 hours or so. And that may explain some of the benefits of longevity as well. So in other words, be modest with your meal intake. Don't overeat, even of the good stuff, right? It's tempting sometimes. The food sometimes tastes so incredibly delicious, but we need to be moderate. If we want to just summarize this first part and the first few lessons from the blue zones: eat plants, eat many colors, all the colors of the rainbow for the different antioxidants. Get your protein from plant sources, from legumes, from beans and lentils and peas and soybeans. And be moderate with your meal intake. Eat until you're 80% full. Okay, so what happens if we apply these lessons in the Western countries? What kind of benefits could we get if we, let's say we don't change exercise, we don't change all the habits. Let's say we only change the way of eating. What kind of results could we expect in the Western countries? So let's start with the long-term study, the Adventist Health Study 2, where the researchers just follow people for a long period of time, and they look at their lifestyle habits, what these people are eating, and their body weight, and also their risk of diabetes. And the study found that the less animal products people are eating, the better off they are in terms of weight management and also in terms of risk of their diabetes. The leanest people are the vegans who avoid the animal products completely, who only eat fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes and nuts and seeds. So the average body mass index among vegans in this study was 23.6, which was the upper limit of normal. Can you remind me? 25. So guess what? Vegans were actually the only group whose average body mass index was within the normal range. Look at lacto-ovo-vegetarians who include dairy and eggs in their diet. The average body mass index was 25.7. So they were already overweight on average. Obviously, there's huge variation. There may be super thin and even overweight and sometimes obese people in all groups, but much less among the vegan group and the lacto-ovo-vegetarian group. Just by including dairy and eggs, there's a 2-point difference in body mass index. And the more animal products people were eating, the heavier they got. So non-vegetarians who include meat in their diet, even though it's less than the average population, the average BMI, 28.8. That's a 5-point difference between vegans and non-vegetarians. And it's no secret that diabetes risk is tightly related to the body mass index and to body weight. So the heavier people get, the higher the risk of developing diabetes. So the risk was the lowest among vegans as well. And I need to tell you that during my rotations in the hospital, when I was deciding which specialty to take, I was really impressed by the food that people with diabetes were getting in the hospital. And when I was observing what they were getting on their plate, I just felt sick to my stomach, because the state of art was just counting carbohydrates. And once you cut down on potatoes and bread and rice, what are these people mostly left up with? Eating more meat, more cheese, which make their diabetes even worse, because these are loaded with fat and loaded with animal protein, which makes their kidneys fail sooner. But at that point, there was no study showing that a plant-based diet could help people with diabetes. And so before the end of medical school, I just decided right there in the hospital that I will do the study. I will show that a plant-based diet can help people with diabetes. And so let me just show you the results. We had 74 people with type 2 diabetes, and we randomly assigned them to follow either a vegetarian diet or a portion control diet, which was the state of art and carbohydrate counting diet. And we found that in only 3 months, people lost almost twice as much weight on the vegetarian diet compared with the portion control diet. They lost much more visceral fat around the inner organs. Their insulin sensitivity increased more, and people were able to reduce their diabetes medications. 43% of the participants were able to reduce their medications in the vegetarian group compared with only 5% in the control group. And we also looked at the oxidative stress markers. I know it sounds complicated, but you know the word antioxidants, right? Those are important, and they're even more important for people with diabetes, because people with diabetes have less antioxidants in their body, and they need more of them from the foods they're eating. So it's not surprising that the vegetarian diet increased the levels of vitamin C. Of course, these people were eating more fruits and veggies, so vitamin C levels increased. But what was striking was the difference between the groups in superoxide dismutase and reduced glutathione. These are enzymes that the body produces in response to oxidative stress. So that means that the plant-based diet not only supplied the antioxidants like vitamin C, it also boosted the body's ability to produce these antioxidants and fight the oxidative stress. So their overall health improved dramatically on the plant-based diet. So we showed that a plant-based diet can be really effective for people with diabetes and for people with metabolic disease. How is it possible when they eat so many carbohydrates? What would you tell me? Don't we tell people with diabetes to watch their carbs? And now we're giving them a high carbohydrate diet, all the carbohydrates coming from fruits and whole grains and legumes. How is it possible that their diabetes is improving so dramatically? Please. All the fiber, yes, these are fiber-rich foods. So the fiber slows down the absorption of the carbohydrates. Yes? And low glycemic index, yeah, that's exactly right. And the fact that the diet is low in fat really helps people with diabetes, because the underlying issue with diabetes is not eating too much sugar or too many carbohydrates. The underlying issue is insulin resistance and too much fat in the liver and in the muscle. It's like a jammed door lock. Insulin is like this key that's opening the door of the cells so that glucose can come in and do all the metabolic magic. But when we have too much fat in the body, and how does the fat get inside the liver and the muscle? Well, for most people, it takes a few decades. We keep putting on extra weight year by year, here a pound, here another pound, and before you know it, you have 20, 30 extra pounds, and our adipose tissue has only a limited capacity to store fat. Once we exceed this capacity, the fat starts overflowing to the inner organs. It's like having your fridge completely packed, and now you bring in more strawberries and blueberries, but there's no place to put them. So where do you put them? Wherever you find place, right? So, okay, they can go maybe in the living room, on the sofa. Is that a good idea? Well, but what can you do, right? Like, you just need to put them somewhere. So this is exactly the situation our body is in if we exceed the capacity to store fat. Now the fat starts overflowing to the inner organs like the muscle and the liver and the pancreas and the heart, and it's doing metabolic damage. But it's completely reversible. So when we start eating a plant-based diet, we actually reverse this insulin resistance. We get rid of the extra fat in the liver and muscle, and the changes are happening fairly quickly. Let's say we have some extra weight and we want to lose weight, what's the most common strategy? Pardon me? Exercise, that's one. What about when it comes to diet? Yeah, absolutely. Count calories, right? Most people think, okay, if I want to lose weight, I just need to limit my energy intake and count calories. But guess what? It's not about counting calories. I'll show you that a plant-based diet is the only diet that can actually boost your metabolism without counting calories, which is groundbreaking. Let me explain. When we eat a meal, there's a certain amount of energy released in the form of heat. You know that when you eat a meal, you feel warm. It feels wonderful. That's because the thermic effect of food, which is the energy released in the form of heat. Now, wouldn't that be wonderful to eat just anything you wanted, and your body would just release the extra energy in the form of heat? How many of you would like this? Anybody? Guess what? It's completely possible. But before I show you the results of our study, let me just tell you that people who are obese, who have extra body weight, their thermic effect of food is lower compared with lean people, which is unfair. These people who have extra body weight, they need to burn more calories, not less. So how can we help them? What if we transition to a completely plant-based diet? And that's exactly the question we asked in one of our research studies. And we brought in 244 overweight people and randomly assigned them to follow either a vegan diet that consisted of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes. We kept the fat content fairly low, so the nuts and seed was just like a small sprinkle on their oatmeal in the morning. And the control group stayed on their usual diet for 16 weeks. And we measured their metabolism using indirect calorimetry, which is a machine that looks like a spaceship. You just come to our lab, we place this clear hood over your head, and you breathe normally for roughly 15 or 20 minutes. You cannot fall asleep, and there's oxygen coming down the tube, and the machine is just measuring the carbon dioxide output that you're breathing out. And based on that, it's able to calculate how many calories you're burning. And we were measuring it in the fasting state and also after a standard breakfast. And we were sending our study participants to Yale University for magnetic resonance spectroscopy. That's just a regular MRI. How many of you have had any MRI? Yeah, many of you. So it's just an MRI machine with a special software to measure the fat content in the liver and in the muscle. And the results were just astounding. As expected, people didn't lose any weight in the control group because they didn't change their diet. But people lost 14 pounds on average in 16 weeks on the vegan diet. That's almost a pound a week. Now, most of it came from fat, so most of it was because people lost fat, and they lost 34% of their liver fat, which was just remarkable, in only 16 weeks. And I need to tell you, there is no medication that can reduce your liver fat. We're completely reliant on the lifestyle modifications, such as our diet and our exercise. So 34% reduction in only 16 weeks is a great finding. Their insulin resistance dropped, so it reduced their risk of getting diabetes down the road. Now, the thermic effect of food didn't change in the control group, and it increased by 14% on the vegan diet. And 14% may seem like a small number to some of you, but you need to realize that this is happening after each meal that you eat. After each meal, they released more energy in the form of heat. So, in other words, if you end up eating roughly the same calories, you will automatically be losing weight because now your body is burning 14% more calories after each meal you eat. Imagine the impact on your body over a few years and decades of doing this, right? So it can potentially contribute significantly to the weight control that we were seeing in vegans, this increased metabolism, because a plant-based diet can boost your metabolism. Now, when it comes to weight loss, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to bother, learning new recipes and preparing healthy food. How about all these shots, Wegovy, Ozempic? Have you seen the ads for these medications? Yeah, they have pretty significant side effects, right? Some of them may increase the risk of pancreatitis, the inflammation of your pancreas, which may be even deadly. They increase the risk of some thyroid cancer and some other endocrine cancers. They have some significant gastrointestinal side effects, and they're not cheap either. So is there any alternative? Can we boost our GLP-1 with food? And the answer is yes. That's exactly the experiment we did. My former PhD student, Lenka Time, she brought in 50 people with type 2 diabetes, and we measured the incretin secretion from the gut after a standard meal. So we gave people 2 different sandwiches on different occasions. One was a vegan sandwich, and the other one was a traditional meat-containing sandwich. The same calories, and we know that after each meal we eat, in our small intestine, the body starts secreting the incretin hormones, which stimulate insulin secretion and also make us feel satiated, and that's why these medications that inject the GLP-1 receptor agonists are so popular, because they mimic the physiologic effects of the incretins. But we were looking at the natural effects of food on our body and on the incretins. And as expected, after the meat-containing sandwich, the line was fairly flat in these people with diabetes. That's why they sometimes see these medications and these shots as their only chance, because their incretin secretion is lower compared with people who don't have any diabetes. But look at the nice peak, the green peak after the vegan sandwich in GLP-1, and also in GIP, which is another incretin hormone that's used also in some medications against diabetes and against obesity. In fact, these effects were comparable with sitagliptin, one of the medications developed specifically to treat this condition. But there are some differences between a sandwich and a pill or an injection, right? The first one is obvious in price. I mean, how much does it take to assemble a sandwich at home? Not much. And even if you buy it in a grocery store, still much cheaper than the pill. Not talking of the injections, $1,300 a month. I mean, come on, how many groceries can you buy for $1,300 a month? Let me now show you one story of our study participant. This is Starla, who was overweight when she joined the study. She was on 2 medications for her high blood pressure, on a blood thinner to reduce the risk of blood clots, and on a few medications for her asthma. And she was kind of skeptical about the study, but she needed to lose some weight and she had some health challenges. So she simply decided to give it a try. So in 16 weeks, she lost 25 pounds and she got off all her medications. And she was just so excited about the study that she got a vegan tattoo. She even decided to hike the Appalachian Trail. Anybody familiar with the Appalachian Trail on the East Coast? Almost 2,200 miles long, and it typically takes people 5 to 7 months to hike the whole trail. Now, a vegan ultra-marathon runner, Scott Jurek, decided to run this trail just for fun. How long do you think it took him to run the trail? 2 months? Any other guess? 6 weeks? Wow, pretty good guess. So to run the whole trail, it took him 46 days, and he set the world record, fueled fully on a plant-based diet. And why is that? Why could plants help you set a world record? There are many benefits of plant-based nutrition. One of them is it reduces inflammation, it speeds up the recovery, and the muscle pain that you experience after exercise, it just speeds up the recovery, and the muscles are less sore, and then you can run again when somebody else is still struggling and still recovering from the previous day. And one of the explanations is also the plants are lower in dietary acids. In other words, the diet is more alkaline. So let me now show you a few studies on this topic. They looked at physical performance, and they showed that including more fruits and vegetables increased the physical performance by 21%. And that was not even a completely plant-based diet. It was just more alkaline. And we know from studies that the more acidic someone's diet is, the higher the risk of type 2 diabetes. And that's an independent risk factor. So let's look at some of the foods and see which ones are most acidic. So let's start with animal foods. Some of the acids you see: beef 7.8, chicken 8.7, salami 11.6. So let's say meat roughly 10, so that we can remember it. But there is one food that's even more acidic than meat. Which one is it? It's cheese. Cheddar cheese 26, Parmesan 34. That's 3 times more than meat. Can you believe it? So cheese is the most acidic food people can eat. Let's now transition to plant-based foods. Rye bread, 4. So it's still acidic, but only half of the acids compared with meat. Potatoes, -4. Carrots, -5. So that means we're now getting into negative numbers. That means that these foods are not only less acidic, they're actually alkalizing. They're alkaline. And the most alkaline food, spinach, -14. All the leafy greens, they're the most alkaline foods. Have you seen alkaline water in your supermarket? Yes. If you like the taste and if you don't mind spending the money, go for it. But otherwise, remember, what you eat is the most powerful way to shift your pH toward more alkaline, and eating more fruits and vegetables, and particularly the leafy greens, you can shift toward more alkaline much faster than with any amount of alkaline water that you would need to drink. They took some athletes and showed that each 10-unit decrease in dietary acid load was associated with a 5% increase in their endurance. And let me just show you a practical example of what it means. I showed you certain foods, but we don't eat only foods, we just eat a whole meal. So let's compare two meals that people might eat. So a ham and cheese sandwich, the acid load of this meal is roughly 42 milliequivalents are the units. And here on the left side is baked potatoes with spinach, minus 23. So this is an alkaline meal. And look at the difference between these two meals. 65 milliequivalents almost. That's a huge difference. So if each 10-unit decrease is associated with a 5% increase in endurance, how much would this switching from ham and cheese sandwich to baked potatoes and spinach improve my own endurance? So roughly 60 is the difference. Each 10-unit increases endurance by 5%. So it's 6 times 5, that's 30%. Is it a lot or a little? By just switching from one meal to another. That's huge, right? Only with what you eat, you can increase your endurance by 30%. What? So when I first came across this research, I was just blown away. I was like, really? Is it that simple that when you eat less acids in your diet, this can explain some of the benefits? So we decided to look into this topic in our study that I just showed you, and we quantified the dietary acids. It's a simple formula that you can calculate for yourself from the diet that you're eating. The dietary acid load is a function of protein and phosphorus, and we subtract potassium and magnesium and calcium. And we showed that on a vegan diet, the dietary acids just plummeted. You know, a reduction of more than 24 milliequivalents per day. And this was associated with weight loss and was able to explain roughly a fourth of the observed weight loss on the vegan diet. So roughly a quarter of the weight loss on the vegan diet was explainable by this diet being more alkaline. So why do we eat a plant-based diet? Because we care for our pH, which is creating the healthy environment for our metabolism. And it's been also shown that the lower the dietary acids, the lower risk of cancer of all kinds of cancer. So it's not only our metabolism, it's also the risk of other chronic diseases, which we can decrease. Well, we've covered so many benefits of plant-based eating and healthy lifestyle. Tell me, why is not everybody doing it? Addictions? Anything else? So sometimes we just need to learn the information.
It takes more time.
It takes time to build new habits and learn new recipes. Anything else?
No fast food.
Yeah, convenience, right? Sometimes stands in the way. Anything else?
Pre-packaged foods.
Yeah, so that's again playing to the convenience. When we're talking about information, that we need to learn more information, one of the most frequent questions I get is, where do I get my protein on a plant-based diet? Anyone heard that one? Yeah, sometimes people think, okay, this is what the Western diet looks like. There's protein coming from meat and carbs and non-starchy vegetables, and now you're telling me not to eat meat? What? Where do I get my protein? So the short answer is we can get more than enough protein on a plant-based diet. But let me just show you some of the surprising sources maybe for somebody. So let's just imagine that all you would eat in a day would be broccoli. and you would eat, enough calories, so that would be a huge pile of broccoli. But how much protein would you get from that broccoli if you ate enough calories? What's your guess? Well, let's start with how much protein do we actually need in a day? So for women, the average is roughly 50 grams a day. For men, it's 60 grams a day. If you're more physically active, it may be a little bit more, but that would be the average. So if I need 50 grams a day of protein, how much would I get from eating only broccoli the whole day? Any guess? 20? 12? Oh, the answer will be surprising to you. I would get 146 grams of protein. So it would be almost triple of what I need, actually. If I ate only lentils the whole day, now lentils is a concentrated source of protein, but it also has more calories, so I would eat a smaller amount of lentils to get to 2,000 calories. How much protein would I get eating only lentils the whole day? More than with broccoli, 157 grams. So again, more than triple than what I need. So the high protein plant foods are the legumes, the beans and the lentils and the peas and the soy and the soy products, the soy milk and tofu and tempeh. And this is just a sample menu, and to show you that getting more than we need is super easy. And more important than the quantity is sometimes the question about the quality. And the important point that the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, in their official statement, in their official position paper, said that vegetarian, including vegan diets, typically meet or exceed recommended protein intakes when caloric intakes are adequate. And protein needs at all ages, including those for athletes, are well achieved by balanced vegetarian diets. So, do we get all the amino acids that we need on a plant-based diet? Each color is a different amino acid, and you see different foods, but you see that all the colors are included in each food. It's just different proportions. So if I eat rice and beans, I get all the amino acids I need and in the right proportions by just, not eating just one specific food item, but by combining. So in other words, you can get all the protein you need, all the amino acids you need, and you can even build muscle on a plant-based diet. If somebody decides to do something like bodybuilding or build their muscle, this is Patrick Bouboumien, one of the strongest people in the world, and he's completely vegan. He's getting all the protein from plants and still is one of the strongest people in the world. And if you'd like to learn more about the benefits of plant-based eating for physical performance and for athletes, let me recommend this documentary, The Game Changers. It's an amazing documentary looking at different athletes and how plant-based eating boosts their physical performance. Sometimes people think that plant-based eating will be super expensive. But in our research study, we showed the opposite. When people adopt a vegan diet, they save roughly $1 a day, or 16% on their groceries. So that's about $400 a year. And sometimes people think it's just too hard to change your habits. And it's true. It's hard in the beginning to be disciplined. It's hard to be disciplined and do what's right sometimes. It's hard to go to the gym and have the discipline to work out and work on your muscles and maybe on your upper body strength and do some push-ups. As we age, we need to be vigilant about preserving our muscle mass. So it may be hard in the moment, but then the long-term benefits just outweigh, all the discipline that we need to put in the moment. Compared with, okay, you don't need to be disciplined. You can do whatever you want. You can watch TV, you can eat ice cream, and you don't need to care about what you do, but you need to deal with the long-term consequences. So which one's easier? That's up to you, right? Choose your hard, because it'll be hard either way. It's just about choosing which one. And finally, sometimes people have the impression that there will be nothing for them to eat. And that's where you come in, and your church, with all the amazing recipes and the cooking demos, to show them that it's possible, and not only possible, it's delicious, and they will be thriving on this, when they will be eating this way. So Dan Buettner, who discovered the blue zones where people live the longest and are the healthiest on earth, he's now traveling the world again, and this time he's helping communities build new blue zones, build all the habits that contribute to longevity and health. And this is exactly a vision that I have for your church. This church can be a longevity blue zone where people learn all the habits that are good for their health and learn about the secrets of longevity. So thank you for your attention, and let's now take some questions. Please.
Could you comment on the sugar?
We'll get a mic.
I remember that chart with the acidity of different foods, and you had sugar as actually less acidic than
That's
the
right.
cheeses,
That's
which
exactly
surprised
right.
me. Now, do different kinds of sugars have different acidity levels?
That's a very good point. Sugar was actually kind of neutral. It was minus 0.1, so about zero, about neutral. Much less harmful than meat and cheese. Now, can you overdo it with sugar, and can you, usually we combine sugar with fats. So where it gets dangerous is all the sweets that we love, chocolate and ice cream, and it's usually the combination with animal products. We combine it with cream, and we combine it with, the fat from the animal products that makes it even tastier, but it's not the sugar that's driving the acidic load. It's the animal products. If you were to eat only sugar by itself, I think most of you would be like, why would I do that, right? It's the sweets that usually get us, where we combine the sugar with other ingredients that makes it, so appealing and tasty, but it's mostly the animal products that drive the association and the adverse health outcomes. And also, for example, in a milkshake, you can consume incredible amounts of sugar without even realizing, because the milk will kind of take off the edge of the sweet, and so they dump a lot of sugar and you don't even feel it. So, again, if you just sprinkle your oatmeal with sugar, not a big deal. But big amounts of sugar combined with the animal products, oh man, not a good idea. Judy.
I just remember in school, in microbiology, them showing us what sugar would do to the immune system and how it would paralyze the
Yes.
white blood cells, and they couldn't work to kill the bacteria or whatever. So maybe that doesn't have to do with acidity. I mean, maybe it just has to do with the paralyzing effect of sugar upon the immune system. Is that different than the acidic business?
Yeah, that's a good point. When you overdo it with sugar, absolutely. It's not good for your immune system, but the same is true for fat. So if you're thinking that you're staying away from sugar, but put butter on your toast and overdo it with fat, it has the same effect on the immune cells. It makes them sluggish and less ready to fight.
Oh my.
So can we, are there any natural sweeteners that we can use instead of sugar? Can we use dates, right? Can we use a banana? Absolutely. Can we use dried fruit? Absolutely.
And would you say that allulose, which is made from dates and figs, isn't that supposed to be a safer sugar substitute?
Pardon me?
Allulose,
Yeah.
A-L-L-O-L-S-E, it's supposed to be a newer
Well,
sugar?
in each case, when we extract something, we usually find out later that it was not such a great idea to extract it. Usually the whole foods will bring us the most benefits. So if you just mix in, some of the dates or a banana in some of the, or applesauce, right? Like there are so many options how to sweeten things naturally. That's always the best option instead of extracting something.
Hello.
I had a couple questions. So with the blue zones, what I've read so far, they also stress the community
Yes.
piece. And you didn't mention that as one
That's
of
right.
you had the 5 healthy habits,
Yes.
but having a sense of community too, did you find that in your research also?
Absolutely, that's a great point. All of the blue zones emphasize community. In Loma Linda, it's about the church community and supporting each other in church. In Okinawa, they form these groups of people where they support the elderly and take care of them. It's beautiful. And this is exactly what this church, means to this community. It's a place where people can connect, can share, can exchange recipes, can exchange ideas, can support each other. We need each other. We're social beings, and it's a big part of our life.
My other question, I have a friend from Okinawa, and they eat a lot of fish there.
Yeah.
So where does that factor, into your studies? I mean,
Well, first of all, in Okinawa, the diet is shifting. And as a result, we see that the longevity is decreasing in Okinawa. There's a lot of fast food that was brought in from the US. But the original Okinawan diet didn't contain a lot of fish. It was only super small amounts.
yeah.
It was not a completely vegan diet. It still contained a little bit of fish, but very small amounts.
And the water probably wasn't polluted either, that the
Yeah.
fish was coming from
Yeah.
then. And with Ozempic, people that are on that, I've read recently, and a friend that did it said this, it reduces the voice in their head that's saying, oh, I want, the cravings and the voice in there. So I'm wondering how your program with the people you worked with, how you helped them with that.
Yeah, that's a common theme. When people join our studies, usually the first few weeks we spend with overcoming the addictions. And the most common ones are cheese and chocolate and cookies and ice cream. So we simply find healthy alternatives for these. For example, with chocolate, you can still get the chocolate taste without the chocolate bar. So for example, you can make a chocolate mousse based from, you take silken tofu, and some people choose to put chocolate powder, some people use carob powder and maple syrup, and that's your chocolate mousse. You just blend it in a blender, and people are happy that they can still get the chocolate taste, but it doesn't have to be the chocolate bar. And we use the same strategy for all these foods. So with cheese, we find that sprinkling some nutritional yeast really helps, and it gives people like the cheesy flavor that they're craving. With ice cream, it's easy because you take frozen fruit and you put in a banana and soy milk, and you have a delicious ice cream in a matter of a few minutes. So it's just, being a little bit creative, finding some good substitutes that will satisfy the craving without the downsides and the harmful effects of the foods that you used to eat before.
Yeah, great. Oh, I just wanted to ask about honey, because there's all those health benefits for honey. So, because I'm trying to cut out sugars and just trying to get an idea of what you thought about honey versus.
Yeah, honey is definitely a much better sweetener than sugar. It would be on the same level with maple syrup, agave syrup. Those are great sweeteners because in some recipes you're not able to put in like a whole banana because the consistency wouldn't work. So yeah, in those cases, honey, maple syrup, agave syrup, those are great alternatives.
Okay, I just have, and then just about carrots, I've heard that they're high on the glycemic index. So are carrots good for you? Or
carrots are absolutely good for you.
So it's kind of a contradiction because they say carrots have as much sugar as like a Snickers candy bar. Is that true?
Well, maybe you consume the same amount of carbohydrate, but it comes in a package with fiber, so the carbohydrate absorption will be slowed down, and it also comes in a package with antioxidants and the beta carotene and all the good stuff.
Okay.
So it's not comparable to a Snicker bar.
Okay, my last question is about the ketogenic diet, because I've heard a lot of people have gone on that and they've had really good health benefits. So what's your take on that? I mean, it's the complete opposite of a vegan diet, so I'm just wondering.
That's a great question. Kevin Hall at NIH compared a ketogenic diet with a vegan diet for weight loss. And he found out that even though it seems in the first week that people are losing weight super fast on the keto diet, all the weight loss is coming from losing muscle. And this is something we don't want, right? Like, it's not a healthy weight loss. So yes, the numbers on the scale will move, but it's not a healthy weight loss. You will lose muscle on a keto diet. And it also is harmful for your metabolism because while your blood sugar may be under control because you're not consuming the carbohydrates, you're also not training your metabolism to process all those carbohydrates. So you're basically training your body to become more insulin resistant. And once you introduce some of the carbs back, it's even worse than when you started, both in terms of body composition and in terms of your metabolism. So it's not only about does it work, but also what are the long-term outcomes. And with a plant-based diet, you're promoting the overall health. You're improving your metabolism, you're decreasing the risk of getting cancer and diabetes down the road, of cardiovascular disease, and you're actually boosting your metabolism instead of slowing it down.
Great, thank you.
My question is, I'm hearing a lot over the past couple of years about the neurotoxins in nutritional yeast and then Bragg's, and I'm also seeing Miss Heidi has a type of Bragg's with the coconut, is it the coconut oil that is better for you? I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that, because I'd like to know a little bit more on the Bragg's amino acids and the nutritional yeast and the neurotoxins.
The nutritional yeast and Bragg's can be really helpful for people, when they're transitioning toward a plant-based diet, because it just reminds them of some of the familiar tastes. Like the nutritional yeast has like a cheesy flavor. Some people may be concerned. For example, some people may be more sensitive to getting candida in their system. And in that case, staying away from the nutritional yeast for a few weeks at least is a good idea. But for most people, it doesn't represent a big problem, and most people tolerate it well.
And then with the Bragg's, is that the same because the neurotoxins? What do you?
I'm personally not concerned about it. I think it's you know, there's a lot of information out there that's like cautious. For example, there's a lot of caution against soy and soy milk. Have you ever heard that women need to be careful about soy because it would increase the risk of breast cancer? And it's actually the opposite. Studies show that consuming soy decreases the risk of breast cancer. And in those women who've been diagnosed with breast cancer, it increases the survival if they eat soy. So I think we will probably need to learn a bit more and wait for a few more studies on this topic. I'm personally not overly concerned about this. Yeah.
So some of us have been vegetarians for a long time, but we're also getting older.
Yeah.
And we're still gaining weight. So can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, that's a great question. In the Adventist Health Study too, they looked at weight gain, and there are different factors. So first of all, most people were gaining weight as they were getting older, but if your starting point is lower because you're in the vegetarian or even in the vegan group, even if you gain a little bit over time, you know, you're still much better off compared with those who eat more of the animal products. That's number one. Number two is there's other lifestyle habits, right? There's also when you eat. Early time-restricted eating breakfast and lunch and skipping dinner is super effective in losing weight, particularly belly fat. And then exercise, strength training, you know, when you build muscle, when you are more physically active and build muscle, that increases the basal metabolism, and it increases the amount of calories that your body is burning on an everyday basis, and it just improves your health overall. And it's also sleep. We don't need only to exercise. We also need to make sure that we go to bed early. Going to bed at 9 or 10, the latest, is one of the most critical things that you can do for your metabolism. You probably know from experience, if you go to bed late, the next day you're just like, you know, you're not well rested. And studies show that if you're not well rested, you will crave more of the unhealthy foods, and you will end up with an unhealthier diet overall. So, you know, having a good night's sleep is one of the most important things for your metabolism as well. Well, I'm already smelling some good.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
one last
curious.
question.
Okay, so as somebody who likes to protect the muscle and build muscle over time, so the bodybuilder that you showed, does he supplement with a plant-based protein, or is it 100% plant-based?
He eats only real food.
plants. Only real food.
There
okay.
are some athletes who choose to supplement with you know, the plant protein shakes, but not him. It's not necessary. You don't need it. If you wanna get extra protein, so instead of using the shakes and the protein powders, you can simply add beans to your smoothies. You will not taste it. If you use cannellini beans, it's completely neutral, and you put in a banana and some fruit, some, you know, mango and soy milk. You cannot even taste it, and it's, you know, you will get a lot of protein this way from natural foods.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear? Yeah. This is amazing. Thank you so much. I imagine everyone, yeah, thank you. We're really thankful. It's a huge treat. I hope that Dr. Kaliova loves Mount Shasta so much that she'll want to come back. Yeah. I mean, Washington, D.C. to here, how can you compare D.C. to here, right? So, she'll be around a little later. We're going to next have our transition to our next part here with Heidi Tompkins doing the food demonstrations and Ivan Raj. They have a ministry called thewisdompearl.com, and they do large seminars, large events in large cities on different topics of interest. So today we're very happy. Heidi has a business called Heidi's Health Kitchen. You can find her on YouTube and probably lots of other places on the web. So it's really a privilege for her. She's also featured, I know you're on Three Angels Broadcasting Network, your show's there. So it's, once again, really a privilege to welcome Ivan and Heidi today. And I didn't begin with prayer, but I'd like to just pray now. Loving Father, every good gift comes from you, including the food that you provided for us. And we pray for your blessing now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for having us. We're glad that you're all here today. It's our privilege to be here, especially to be here with Dr. Hannah. Back in the day, we used to organize events called the Plant-Based Summit, and Dr. Hannah was a speaker, and
Twice, actually.
yes, more than once. And at one of the events at the Brooklyn Law School in New York, which was where we're from, we had Dr. T. Colin Campbell with us a couple of times as well, and he was very, very impressed by her studies, and so that was a really nice introduction.
Yes.
So we're happy to work with her again, and I believe that there are recipe sheets. Does everyone have a recipe sheet? Wonderful, excellent. So the first recipe that we're going to do is our raw mock tuna, but we'd like to tell you a little bit about Heidi's Health Kitchen. We are a health food ministry. We give cooking classes, health lectures, and Bible study for those who are interested. In fact, Ivan, my Bible is in the kitchen. Can you grab it? Thank you. And so it's on the counter. Thank you. And we manufacture decadent carob products. How many of you have tried carob before? Good, okay. Well, if you didn't like it, it's because you haven't tried ours. And so we're going to be sampling some of that for you today as well. And in our cooking classes, we really like to share nutritional information as well. So I'll be sharing some things that maybe resonate with what Dr. Hannah shared as well. And so over the years, we've done a lot of education. We're the organizers of the Plant-Based Summit, and then we also have another conference series that's a little bit different. It's called The Battle for Your Frontal Lobe, because this is where God communicates with us, and the area that we need to guard and protect the most. And actually, the foods that we eat can affect our brain greatly and our frontal lobe. And so we recommend a whole food plant-based diet for health, for longevity, and to get all the nutrients that you need. So we are going to start with our raw mock tuna, unless there's anything that you wanted to share, Ivan?
No, well, I just want to say thanks to Mount Shasta Church for inviting us to come and offer this presentation. And also, Dr. Hannah, so nice to see you once again. And I do remember many years ago you told us to sleep when sun sets. I didn't practice that until a few weeks ago. I started doing that, so I remember that. So now I'm very careful that I make sure that I turn off all my lights when sun is setting, and I try to go to sleep at a good time.
All right, so there's a few components to this first recipe, and we are going to just walk through a couple of them. We're going to actually make the raw mock tuna. We've already made the cashew mayo, which goes into it, and that is just blending, so we're not going to do that right now. And then we've made our Yum Yum ginger sauce, which is going to be a drizzle on top. So let's get started. So you want to soak your nuts and seeds overnight. So you'll see that they're in the cashew mayo. There are cashews. They should be soaked overnight. In the mock tuna, there are almonds and sunflower seeds. Almonds have a good amount of calcium and potassium, and sunflower seeds are a powerhouse. Sunflower seeds have magnesium and many other nutrients that our bodies need. And so you're going to want to soak those overnight. Most nuts and seeds naturally have enzyme inhibitors in them. And so this is one of the reasons why it's so hard to get raw nuts and seeds. They're often roasted, because there's two ways to neutralize the enzyme inhibitor, and that is heating or soaking. And so soaking your nuts and your seeds overnight is going to make them more digestible and more available to your body. And it makes things easier to blend as well. And so we're going to start with our almonds that have been soaked. So you'll want a cup of almonds, and I generally like to blend these up before I add anything else. Okay, and then we're going to add our sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are such an interesting food item. I really love them. Over the years, we have done a lot of work with people, and one of the things that we have done is stop smoking programs. And there is a reaction in the brain from sunflower seeds that mimics nicotine. So if you or anyone you know is trying to stop smoking, they should be eating raw sunflower seeds. It helps to reduce the cravings and to neutralize the cravings in the brain. And so to this, we're going to be adding lemon juice and water to blend. We're also going to be adding our dulse, our salt. Sure, so dulse and kelp are two sea vegetables that really make this the tuna, the mock tuna that it is. And so we're adding our garlic powder and our salt and kelp. And then the other items we're just going to mix into the bowl after we process all of this. So in the meantime, I'm just going to put the cashew mayo in the bowl. Okay, we're going to just pulse that a little bit more.
Okay, so in the recipe sheet it says award-winning raw mock tuna. There's a reason why we have mentioned it as award-winning. We did win the award. So we were actually one of our contestants at Jacob Javits Center at the New York City Restaurant Show, and the contest was for plant-based foods. And so we entered into the contest, and we won, thanks to God. And it was actually our judges were celebrity chefs, and we actually were offered
a restaurant deal based on this.
Yes, based on just this one recipe, we were offered a restaurant deal. In case you're wondering what happened to the restaurant deal, I'll continue now. So the restaurant deal we had to unfortunately decline for multiple reasons, because the investors were very particular about adding bar in the restaurant with liquor. So we don't do that, so we had to respectfully reject that offer.
Okay, so we're going to mix this processed mixture now with the cashew mayo, and then we're going to add in the shallots, the raw garlic, and the celery that we've already either processed or chopped. So this, when you're doing everything from scratch here, it can take a little bit of time, but this recipe is excellent on toast. My favorite way to have it, of course, you can have a sandwich. We're going to be serving it to you in a lettuce wrap. Years ago, we used to operate a pop-up restaurant, and one of our appetizers was the raw mock tuna lettuce wrap with yum yum ginger sauce. And so that's how we'll be serving it to you today.
So Heidi mentioned this term, pop-up restaurant. How many of you heard of pop-up restaurant? Yeah? Have you guys been to one? Anyone? You have? No, Marie? Okay, so this was before COVID. We operated for 5 years a pop-up restaurant. What that means is we rent a coffee house once or twice a month.
Or a family restaurant, something that's open, till like 3 or 4, that they close and we can open up for dinner.
Yeah. So when they are closed, we go in with all our foods and utensils and everything, and then we go with our glow tracts, and we also have our own music, instrumental Adventist music, and what we did was we had our customers prepay, so we know how much we have to make, so we don't have a loss. So we already had some customers, and so we send them our link so they can go online to Heidi'sHealthKitchen.com, our website. They can select what they would like to eat and then make the payment, and then we know how much to prepare. So we would go in and then we would rent that venue, and people would come in and have their meals.
Yes.
And it was an amazing experience because we got to meet a lot of people from all walks of lives, and some of them we are still in contact with to this day.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so in our raw mock tuna, one of my favorite ingredients is the parsley. And parsley is amazing for its mineral content, and there are benefits to herbs which we're going to discuss. So in the Bible, Psalm 104:14, it's speaking of God, and it says, He causes the grass to grow for the cattle and the vegetation for the service of man, that he may bring forth food from the earth. So let's focus on that word service. What does servicing mean, right? When we take our car for service, what are some of the things that they're doing? Oil change, filter change, balancing the tire pressure, there's a lot of type of service that our vehicles need. Well, guess what? Our bodies need servicing as well. And so herbs are one of the best ways to provide service to our bodies. And the top 2 herbs for detoxing your body of heavy metals are cilantro and parsley. So when you eat out and you see the herbs on the side of your plate, eat them. Don't discard them. And when you're cooking at home, it's really beneficial to have fresh herbs with every of your meals. So in the raw mock tuna, we used parsley. In our Yum Yum ginger sauce, we're using fresh mint. And tahini rice, we're using fresh cilantro. And not only do the herbs really give a fresh taste, but they're really increasing the nutrient density of your food. And so it's very, very important. And so let's see. Normally I would use a scoop or a spoon, which I didn't bring with me, but with the lettuce wrap, you're basically going to make it like a little cup and put the mock tuna in and then drizzle with the Yum Yum ginger sauce. And it gets thick, the Yum Yum ginger sauce. You can thin it out if it's too thin. Oh, okay, no problem. And so this is how we'll be serving it to you as a lettuce wrap. And so at our pop-up restaurant, an appetizer would be 3 to 4 lettuce wraps, depending on the size of the lettuce wrap. And it's really, really delicious. His partner owned, at the time, 27 restaurants, and he could not believe that this was entirely plant-based. The demo was hosted by Meatless Mondays, so everything had to be plant-based. And he just couldn't believe it. There's a video on our YouTube channel for Heidi's Health Kitchen where he's like freaking out because he can't believe that this doesn't really have fish in it and that it's just all plant-based. And so Maria says to him, well, Fabio, open another restaurant. You should have a vegan restaurant. You have 27, what's one more? And so anyway, we had a little dialogue, and it was humorous and entertaining. And he met us backstage, gave us his card, and said he was very serious about it. And it was a great opportunity. Yeah. All from our raw mock tuna, which we certainly hope that you enjoy.
So you all will be able to, you guys will get the samples at the end.
Yes, okay. Correct.
That's your reward for sitting here.
Yeah. So the Yum Yum ginger sauce uses some ingredients which I just wanted to talk to you about. And Coconut Secret, their coconut aminos are raw, and so they're very, very healthy and nutritious. Being raw and not processed with heat, it maintains some of the nutrients in the coconut, like the lauric acid, sorry. So we're using honey, but if you are strictly vegan and you don't want to use honey, date syrup works very well. If you're not able to get that, you can use maple syrup, and there is a lot of ginger in it and a lot of fresh mint, and it's really, really delicious. So we hope that you enjoy that. It just gets, all of the ingredients get blended in a blender, except for the mint gets added in and pulsed at the end because it should not be green. And it's Yum Yum ginger sauce because it is really yummy. Okay, so you might notice that the recipes that we're presenting are oil-free. Can anyone think of a reason why you would be on an oil-free diet or why that might be appealing? Preventing cancer, okay. Weight loss? Heart health, absolutely. Excellent, and it's to reduce the amount of the processed, right? The oils, especially seed oils and other oils, are very processed. And, olive oil is very healthy. It's very heart healthy, but I would recommend that if you're going to use an olive oil, that you would choose a brand that actually has the press date on the back, because the nutrients in the olive oil are most potent within 6 months of when the olive oil has been pressed. A few other ideas about oil, even though we're not using it today. There are 3 benefits of oil. Well, there are benefits of oil and properties of oil that are destroyed by 3 things. Can anyone think of what those 3 things might be? Heat, oxygen, and light. So you want to buy your oil in dark brown or dark glass green bottles, and they should always be tightly sealed rather than having your oil in like an open flask on the table, and they should never be placed above your stove. Now, sometimes you have the cabinet above the stove. Worst place you could store your oils. They should be in a cool, dark, dry place. Okay. But today, all of these recipes are oil-free, and that is a great benefit to reducing the amount of fat in your diet. And we also, again, are plant-based. Some people have asked me, what's the best way to reduce your cholesterol? And the best way is to stop putting it in your mouth. And so we highly just recommend a plant-based diet for all of the benefits that Dr. Hannah shared with us. So the zucchini rice is a very nutritious dish. We heard Dr. Hannah share that eating a meal of rice and beans gives you all the amino acids that you need. Of course, the beans and the legumes, those are the ones that are high in fiber and higher in protein as well. And so we're using rice and black beans in this dish. And then to make it even more nutritious, we're using zucchini. And you can also, if you wanted to add more protein, you could use very small broccoli florets, would go well in this as well. And so we've cooked our rice, and we've shredded our zucchini. We're adding in our black beans, and we add corn into this for color. I have to say that if you're going to use canned corn, the can should be a BPA-free lined can, and if you can't find that, frozen works just as well. Just thaw it or steam it. However, you can also use edamame, shelled edamame in this recipe. Makes it a little bit more green, but it's, thank you, very nutritious as well. The real flavor profile of this comes from the cilantro and the lime. We used all of the limes that we had in the portion that we're serving to you, so I'm not adding it here, but we have chopped cilantro that is going in, and it's that cilantro lime that really makes this zesty and a flavorful dish. But your food can be colorful, and it can be delicious and very nutritious, and then you would add salt to taste. Our preference for salt, our first preference for salt would be like a gray Celtic sea salt. If that's not readily available to you, a pink Himalayan salt. We generally don't prefer to use a white table salt. Many, many years ago, when I was learning about the benefits of the Celtic sea salt, this was many years ago. This was probably in 2000 or 2001. Actually, the Celtic Sea Salt Company had a trial. They were looking for people. First of all, what is the condition that one might have when a doctor tells you need to go on a low salt or no salt diet? Yes, hypertension. Okay. And so they were looking for candidates, people who had hypertension, who were willing to participate in a study. And the requirements of this study were that you had to agree to only use their salt for 60 days. And that means you can't go out to eat because you don't know what salt a restaurant is using. So for 60 days, you had to agree to cook all of your food at home using only their salt, no other salt, and using it in moderation. And the results of that study were that many people found that using only the Celtic sea salt did not raise their blood pressure, and they could be on a diet using salt. And the amount of magnesium that is found in the Celtic sea salt was able to balance things so that their blood pressure was not raised. So it's a very, very healthy salt if those are your concerns. And so we just recommend that that's an important ingredient, right? I don't think anyone really would want a diet without salt, right? It makes things very bland, or even a low salt diet can be tough to adjust to. Of course, your palate can change, and you can do it, but salt just gives that seasoning that we all enjoy. Okay, so now we have a couple of dessert items, and so we are going to be using a product that we'd like to share with you. And so over the years, Ivan and I have been producing carob products, and we have a sample for you today of our decadent carob truffles. They're called carubies, and we've got a small sample of those for you. But recently, particularly during the pandemic, I was treating a lot of people, giving them hot foot baths and using hydrotherapy and using natural methods to help people to heal quickly and get over the flu. And over the course of this, I got the flu 4 times myself. And after the 4th time, my brain was extremely foggy. Ivan would say, "Hey, remember this?" And I would say, "No, I don't." And then one day we ran out of a supply that we'd been using for 10 years, and I couldn't remember where to order it from. So I prayed about it, and God told me I can check my email and figure it out, which I did. But that's when I realized that there was something really wrong. And so I decided to fast and pray for 3 days. And for 3 days, I prayed, asking God, what do I need to do? What do I need in my diet to sharpen my brain once again? I firmly believe that God has provided everything that we need in nature for every debilitation, for every need that we have. And so I believed that there must be an answer, there must be something natural that I can do to increase my brain health. And for 3 days, the only answer I got was Shilajit. Anyone ever heard of Shilajit? A couple of people. Ivan, do you want to tell us about Shilajit?
Yeah. So Shilajit actually comes from a volcano from the Himalayan mountains in northern part of India. And it's actually the lava from that volcano.
Yes.
So it has 95 plus minerals, Shilajit. And people who are into Eastern meditation use that regularly or whenever they want to, because it does have an impact in calming the mind.
Now, while we don't endorse that practice, because we believe in Bible meditation and meditating on the promises of God and the Word of God, which is actually shown in studies by our good friend Dr. Ramirez to be even more beneficial, we do know that our brain needs to be serviced and our brain needs help. Dr. Hannah talked about antioxidants. Antioxidants are excellent for the brain. Blueberries. There are many, many foods that are high in antioxidants. And so in addition to that, we have created this product with Shilajit. And in addition to having all those minerals, it's very dense in sulfurs and it's very high in humic and fulvic acid, which are known for reducing inflammation. And so we got some Shilajit from our contacts in India, and I was so excited for it to arrive. But remember, it's excavated from the inside of a volcano. So can you imagine what it tastes like?
Not good.
Very sulfur rich and mineral dense. It's disgusting. It's like tar. And so I thought, oh no, and I prayed, Lord, what am I going to do with this? And the next morning I had this recipe downloaded in my brain. It's a product that we began then manufacturing and offering to others. It's called Karubi Latte. And there's amazing reviews on Google. You can look it up. We just got a 5-star review.
Yeah, we just got a 5-star review
Today.
for this product a couple of hours ago, actually. And the customer mentioned in the comment section that her nerve pain has diminished after consuming our Karubi latte. So that's why she gave us a 5-star, by the way.
So we've had many other customers, many that I probably
some
can't
Google
even
reviews.
count, that have said that it relieves their headaches within about 10 minutes. We have a good friend, Dr. Eric Walsh, and his wife, Jackie, has had chronic headaches all of her life, and he's an MD, so they've tried everything, nutraceutical, pharmaceutical, essential oils, and he said he has seen nothing work so fast, and so he said he believes that this is opening up blood flow at the brainstem to reduce inflammation in the brain. So we generally make a beverage with this. We have that for you to sample today. We blended it with soy milk, so I hope that no one's allergic to soy. And we're also going to make a couple of desserts with it. So the first one that we're going to do is our Karubi Latte sweet potato pudding.
Anyone interested to volunteer? Oh, okay, come.
Come. Oh, to come help
eat
us
it?
put it together?
I am here to eat it.
Okay, all right, Vishnu. So it's very easy. What we've done is we've baked the sweet potatoes, peeled them and mashed them, and we're just going to, in this bowl, mix that together with these other ingredients. So if you want to start putting that into the bowl, we are adding an oat flour, we're using an almond milk. For this, we're using the Karubi Latte powder, and we're using a little bit of maple syrup, and you can add a pinch of salt. And then if you want it even smoother, you can run it through a food processor or a Vitamix, and it just makes a really nutritious pudding. Sweet potatoes have many, many nutrients that are beneficial to us, and what's great about this is you're getting fiber, lots of fiber between the oat flour and the sweet potato, and a very, very nutritious pudding. And of course, the color, we see the rich color of the sweet potatoes, right? And Dr. Hannah can probably help us, but rich in beta carotene, and I'm sure many, many other nutrients. Awesome. So the Karubi latte, we're also going to be serving to you as a beverage. And then while we're mixing that up, we recently came out with an additional variety of Karubi latte that is called mocha. And with mocha, we have added some additional herbs for the brain: gotu kola, ashwagandha, and bacopa monnieri. I am just thrilled about bacopa monnieri. Anyone heard of bacopa monnieri? Great. And have you heard about the benefits of bacopa monnieri? It is excellent for cleaning the electrical connections in our brain. So if you imagine two telephone poles and the telephone wire in between, and over time with weather and seasons, debris and leaves and things get all cluttered up on the ends of the wires where they connect to the pole. And bacopa monnieri cleans and flushes out and cleanses those electrical connections in the brain. Okay, all right, so that is it, sweet potato pudding. And the next recipe that we're going to make with the Karubi latte is Karubi latte nut balls. And these also are very, very easy to put together. We're using almond butter, and we're using shredded coconut, maple syrup, and a little bit of vanilla, and of course the Karubi latte powder. So you just want to combine these things in a bowl. And if you have kids in your family, they really like to get their hands into things and dirty, so to speak. And, having your kids mix this up and roll out these balls is really fun for them. So we encourage you to get them involved and help in the kitchen. When I was young, I started helping my mother in the kitchen when I was between 7 and 8 years old. And probably, by the time I was 8.5 or 9, she had showed me a few recipes, and I started helping her with dinner and eventually provided all of our family's dinner meals, and she was very happy to give up that responsibility. So we're just going to add in all of these ingredients, mix, and then roll into balls. And it's a really, really rich, delicious, nutritious dessert, snack. With these powders, the idea is that you want to consume them daily, and however it is easier for you to do that is the way that you should consume them. If you don't think that you're going to blend something together every day, you can make up a gallon of it at a time and put it in your refrigerator so that you can just pour and drink. If you don't have a high-speed blender or you don't want to do it that way, we have a customer who's an older gentleman up in Boston, and his daughter had purchased it for him because he was having pretty debilitating arthritic hip pain, and he doesn't even own a blender, but he has hot cereal every morning. And so there's a scoop in the bag, a serving is a scoop. He puts a scoop in his hot cereal, and that's how he consumes it. The most important thing is getting these minerals into your system so that your body can absorb them and reap the benefits.
Heidi, do you want to talk about the differences between chocolate and
Oh, sure. That's a great idea. So, a lot of people do not realize the marketing in the food world is very much for chocolate. People tout the high antioxidant benefits, especially of dark chocolate. But did you know that carob has just as many antioxidants as chocolate? And what it does not have, there are two I'll take that spoon, sure. There are two elements that are in chocolate that are not found in carob, and those are called, well, you may know. Does anyone know what those are? Say it again? No, it's theobromine. Yeah, there's two. There's caffeine and there's theobromine, and they're kissing cousins. They are often paired together. They are together in chocolate, and they both can do some damage. They can be the reason why people have headache and heartburn, and they never, ever, ever want to blame their beloved chocolate. But guess what? You can get all the benefits of chocolate with carob. And so the carubies are carob truffles, small candies, and they are great, great replacement. Okay, so this mixture, you just want to get it mixed well. It's a little bit of a sticky mixture. I don't have gloves, so I'm not going to roll them out here, but basically you will roll them into balls, and that's how we'll be serving them to you. In other areas, I have spread this out on a lined parchment sheet, and you can spread it out and you can put it in the refrigerator. It'll get hard, and then cut it into bars. There's a lot of ways that you can have this readily available so that you can get the benefits of the shilajit and the minerals that are in the carob as well. Yes, so now that we're done with the food portion, we have a natural remedy to present to you. Sure. So we're just going to take a few minutes, and then we will get that set up. Let's see, we can remove these things. Okay, let me get the blender. Okay, so for this, a blender makes it a lot easier. We need to blend the ginger into a paste, and this is called a ginger turmeric poultice. And some of the things that this is used for is reducing pain and inflammation, increasing blood circulation, okay, so to tell you a little bit about this. Perfect, thank you. We are going to be using fresh ginger root, and it needs to be peeled. We're going to be using turmeric powder, and I need from the kitchen saran wrap and a pair of gloves for this, because turmeric stains, and I generally actually recommend wearing black when you do this because it will stain all of your fabric and all of your clothing. So the potency of this poultice comes from the juice of the ginger and the anti-inflammatory benefits of the turmeric. And when applied, it heats up. We learned about this remedy years ago. Can I ask you to hold that, Ivan? So I had developed frozen shoulder. Has anyone ever heard of frozen shoulder? Okay, I never had until I got it, and it was extremely painful. I woke up one morning and I had no idea what happened to me. I thought, what could I have done in my sleep? I was in so much pain. I couldn't move my shoulder or rotate it or move my arm in any direction without extreme pain. And I thought, how could I have slept so horribly? What is going on here? And I was doing some research, and I walked up to the health food store in my town, and I thought, you know, I went to get like a curcumin supplement because I was just having so much pain. And the nutritionist in the health food store started asking me some questions, and she said, do you have a high-stress job, or are you under stress? And I said, yes. And she said, you know, are you between the age of 40 and 55? And I said, yes. And she said, you have frozen shoulder. She said it's extremely common amongst women who are in that age group and who are under stress. And I had never heard of this, so she, you know, sold me a couple of supplements and said, I wish you the best of luck. She said, there's really no remedy for this. She said, but eventually people end up going to physical therapy. Do you know, well, look, we live in a stressful environment in New York. In Long Island alone, the frozen shoulder is one of the most popular maladies amongst women. And there are people that go to physical therapy for 2 years and they still don't have relief from frozen shoulder. It's unbelievable. And I thought, I can't be down for a day, never mind, go through all of this. And so Ivan's brother, Martin, had been a missionary in Kenya for some time, and he learned this treatment there. And so we had called him, and he said, oh, you have to do this ginger turmeric poultice. And he said, it's a treatment. You should do it every day for 5 days, and you should leave it on for 5 to 8 hours a day. And I was in so much pain, I was willing to try anything because I had already tried, thinking maybe I just need to stretch or I need to rebound or and everything that I did made the pain even worse. A friend of mine who's a massage therapist came over and she couldn't even touch me. I was like screaming in pain by the end of the day. And so we got some raw ginger and Ivan helped apply this ginger turmeric poultice, and you are not going to believe this. Within the first treatment, halfway through the first treatment, 100% of the pain was gone. 100% of the pain, no pain at all. And we continued to do the treatment every single day, and every day I was gaining more and more range of motion, and by the end of the 5 days, I no longer had frozen shoulder. Completely healed. It was amazing. Okay, so I couldn't find a peeler in the kitchen. If you can't find a peeler, usually the edge of a spoon works well for ginger, but we want to get the skin off of this because the skin will absorb the juice, and we need as much of the juice as possible. We don't want the juice to be absorbed by the skin. We want the juice to be absorbed by the turmeric. Oh, no, it's okay. I've got it. Paper towel would be nice. Okay. All right. So we're going to blend this. Now, generally, I have to use a tamper because, it's going to fly around in here, but let's see if we can get this crushed up into a paste is what we're looking for. All right. So get stuck in the corners, and you do not want to add water to this at all. You just want to get it into a paste. So if you have a high-speed blender with the tamper, you can kind of usually reach into the corners above the blade, not down to the blade, but you just want to get the big pieces small. Okay, that's the best we're going to get right now. Now, when I first started doing this, I would put the ginger and the turmeric in my Vitamix blender, and guess what happened? Orange, bright orange Vitamix blender. And my first one, I thought, I'm going to try vinegar and baking soda, and I'm going to scrub it, and it became so scratched and cloudy, and it was still orange. So I decided to call the Vitamix company, and they said, oh, it's really easy. Just put it in the direct sunlight for 2 or 3 hours, and it'll be clear and shiny and brand new. And it works. I learned the hard way. Okay, so we need a bowl to mix this in. Sorry about that. Okay, so I would like to know if there is anyone who is having any pain in an extremity, like knee pain or shoulder pain or elbow pain or hand pain. Would anyone like, and if not, praise the Lord for that, but would anyone like to volunteer to have this applied to them? And if there are no takers, I can apply it to Ivan.
No.
Okay. Okay,
And I've been putting castor oil on at night,
okay.
but I'm intrigued with it.
Yes, well, let's give this a try. Now, I generally like this to be a finer paste. You can see that there's still some chunks in there. You know, some people pound their ginger. We just want to get the juices out, so I'm just going to crush it up a little bit. Now, we had applied this ginger turmeric poultice to a young girl. We've done this many, many times, but several years ago in New York City, we were doing a class, and I asked if there was anyone in pain. There was this young girl from North India sitting in the audience, and she said that she was having knee pain, and she was very young, very athletic. She had injured her knee, I believe, playing soccer, and she had had at least 3 cortisol injections into the knee, and they helped a little bit in the beginning, but they weren't really relieving the pain. Oh, I need turmeric.
I'm going to put Todd out of business.
And I need a spoon to measure the turmeric. And so we applied this to her, and I mentioned to her that it's a treatment. You really should do this 5 days in a row for 5 to 8 hours. And she was going to be leaving to go visit her family in the UK. So that one day, you know, I wrapped it up nice and tight for her and very secure. And we never saw her again. But 4 months later, we heard from her. She messaged us on Facebook thanking us for this miraculous treatment. And she said she left it on for 8 hours, and all of the pain was gone, and she's never had to use it again. But she went back to visit her family, and an uncle had tennis elbow, and her father had a sprained wrist, and somebody had twisted their ankle, and she has showed, thank you, everyone that she knows how to do this ginger turmeric poultice, and with a lot of results by God's grace. So I just want to let everyone know that I am not a healer, but God is, and but He has created these things that have healing properties, and it is very wise for us to be educated in these things so that we can relieve pain. I'm not saying that you should never go to a doctor. I'm not saying that there's not a need for a doctor, but there are many, many things that we can do at home to relieve pain, and this is one of them. So for every inch, you want to get the ginger as fat as you can, and for every inch in length, you want to add a tablespoon of turmeric powder. Yikes.
Yeah, I cook and my husband cleans, so he can't stand turmeric, but I use it all the time.
I'm going to do this on the paper towel. All right. Now, some people ask, can I sleep with this overnight? And the answer is yes, you can, but I recommend, would you cover that? But I recommend that you wear dark clothing and that you sleep on a dark blanket or a dark towel, because if you're tossing and turning in the night and it's oozing out, or it will stain your bedding. So you can do it overnight, but just be prepared so that you don't stain your bedding or your pajamas. Okay, so I'm going to get my fingers in here. So this should be crushed or mixed into a paste. And when the ginger is broken up as much as possible, or when the ginger is crushed into a paste, it will absorb the powder, and thus provide the healing benefits. Okay, all right, so we want to, Ivan, could you open that? All right. I'm gonna move this direction.
Do you think we should have our gloves in the palm, right?
That's another way that you can do it. When you are doing a hand, you can put it on your hand and put your hand in a glove. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but I'm not sure if you want to wear a glove all day. Generally, what I do is I apply this and I secure it with saran wrap and then with an ace bandage. And that might be a little bit easier if you want to do things with your hand and, and not be sweating, having your hand sweating and all that stuff. So we'll do it without a glove, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Patty's getting her exercise.
Yeah. Okay, all right, so if you want to put your hand down, and it is in here? Oh, I see it. Yes, yes,
And
yes.
actually, I've been having a lot of arthritis here, so just put it in both
Okay,
places if you want,
sure.
since you're wrapping it.
Sure.
If I take a picture?
Yeah, you can take it.
I do. I probably need to take it out of the box, actually, because I'm going to have to wrap it.
Then we can send it to you, or send it to Patty and she'll send it to you.
Okay.
Before, after.
I don't know.
Sure, I need a lot. It probably would be easier to take it out of the box.
And I've been having some arthritis here, so she's going to do both. I think it's
Okay,
pain there.
okay, so,
Oh, so you really put it on thick.
yeah, I do.
Putting it on very thick.
And here?
The base of the thumb.
Okay, all right.
Secure
So we're going to spread this out and it's a little chunky, I apologize.
So normally, if you got that ground,
If you
more,
get
it'd be
that,
pastier.
yeah. And if you really, really ground up the ginger into a smooth paste, if you can do so, and the juice is really coming out, you might even need to use paper towel inside the saran wrap, but this is on the drier side of things. Okay, so now I'm done with this part. I did not. There's a little bit left in here, but most of it. It's mostly just the dry portion. Okay, all right. So let's put this underneath. Can you just lift up your hand and put your hand on top of this? Okay, all right. Okay, let me just. Okay, so I try to go. If you have a smaller roll and you can hold the roll, it's a little bit easier to maneuver because we want your fingers to be available for you, but we just want to press in this and then, so you could lift up your hand and I will go around and sometimes when you're doing a hand, it's if you can poke the finger through and we just want this to stay inside and not be messy for you. But you don't want it to be too tight. You don't want to cut off circulation, but you want it to be nice and snug. So that it stays in place. We could use another piece, yes, just to go inside her other fingers to keep this from, that's enough, yeah. Okay, I guess we'll just put it down, yeah. I just want to go in between your fingers and...
Just trying not to get this to fall out. Make a
Yeah,
mess.
yeah, exactly, yep. And I'll wrap it in between your fingers with the saran, with the ace bandage too, yeah. I have not, and the reason why is because it's too much juice. Because the turmeric powder, absorbs the juice of the ginger, and I think it would be too much juice with the turmeric root and the ginger root. Okay, no, I think that's good. Okay, so, depending on which extremities you're doing, sometimes a narrower bandage can be better. This is a long one, so we are going to start here.
Usually
Sure.
people come with knee pain.
Yeah, the large one, the tall one is excellent for knees also. Okay, all right. So the saran wrap holds it in place, and then this is really to secure it. And if it's too tight, let me know. Like to go in between your thumb there, okay.
Is this an Ayurvedic remedy? Because those are, 2 herbs are used a lot in, are you familiar with
They
Ayurvedic?
are used in Ayurveda. I wouldn't necessarily call this an Ayurvedic
No, this was actually-
remedy.
Taught by a Christian man to my brother in Kenya.
Yeah, in Kenya.
Yeah. Okay. You could, you sure could, absolutely.
Yeah, I got edible.
You could take it internally,
Pain
but
reliever.
externally has amazing benefits as well.
You could take it off and make a tea.
Hey, or an Indian dish too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we need ginger and turmeric.
Exactly.
So, of course, of course. I'm so sorry.
Oh, the wrong way.
The wrong way. We're going to do this over. I didn't realize it had Velcro on the other end. Ooh. So the writing goes down. Sorry about that.
Do you cook with honey? Because I read if you heat honey above a certain temperature, I think it's 105 degrees or something, it kills some of the benefits of it.
I have one recipe. Yeah, I have, yes, but I don't think that it kills all the benefits. I have one dish that I use honey in, and it's roasted carrots. And I actually use raw honey, and people ask me, why are you using raw honey? You're going to bake it. But it's because I want still some of the nutrients to be available to me. If it's already processed and I bake it, then, there's nothing, right? So I do use raw honey for that dish, and it does get baked. Trying to make this not awkward for you. This is a very big bandage.
We could just stick a glove over it. I'm fine with that if you don't want the bandage.
I just wanted to add that some of you all may know my husband, who's an orthopedist, and there's an alternative way to deal with frozen shoulder.
Oh, wonderful.
One is you can go to the OR and go under anesthesia, and he can take your arm and force it up, and it snaps all of the stuff that's binding, and when you come out and wake up, it's fine. And we have a friend who did that and didn't want to go through anesthesia, so he tied his arm to a rope, stepped on it, which was suspended from something, and then stepped off the chair, and it
But we want to
jerked
pray with you, though,
his
if it's okay
shoulder,
when she's done.
and it cured it. It was very painful, but no anesthesia.
Wow.
You can also get an injection, but that's expensive. So thank you so much.
Yes. Well, we just want to pray because, again, God is the healer, not us. So we just want to ask God to bless this. Dear Heavenly Father, we just ask and pray that you would please bless these natural things that you have created and that you would cause them to reduce the inflammation and even break up that bump underneath the skin. Lord, we know that you're able to do all of these things, and we ask for your healing presence and your healing power to be upon Debbie. Because we ask it in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for being our model.
Thank you all so much. So we have samples ready. Oh, we have a question?
Can you use that ginger that they prepare that squeezes out of the bottle?
I don't know how processed that is. I would prefer just to use the ginger root and as unprocessed as possible. That would be my preference. Yes? You can, yeah. Well, I mean, when I had frozen shoulder, you know, it was my whole, you know, we wrapped it around my whole shoulder, underneath my arm, down to here, because the pain was down to my elbow. And it was just amazing. Now, my shoulder felt like it was in a furnace. It will heat up, but that's increasing the blood circulation to relieve the inflammation. And that's the purpose of it. So.
Thank you all so much today.
Sure,
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. The sample plates, the samples are, if you go through the double doors right here and then turn left in the first double doors, you'll go in and the sample plates are there and you're welcome to share. So
And we want to thank all the volunteers that helped in the kitchen and all of you for coming as well.